So I've got my pan warming with a diffuser, and we are going to make black rice porridge. I've been soaking this black rice overnight. I've rinsed it and blended it with soaked almonds, coconut, fennel seeds, cardamom, and some dulse. And this is a nutritious powerhouse. I can't wait to see what it tastes like. The recipe calls for golden raisins, which I don't have. But I'm going to use some prunes, dried prunes, and maybe add some fresh pear. Very excited. Now, in the initial stages of cooking a porridge like this, it's got to be whisked as it cooks and firms up on the bottom. You've got to alternately lift up the lid and whisk it as it gets to a boil and begins to thicken. So you do need to watch it and be near, which I'll be doing some cleaning and juicing as it's cooking. So the recipe calls for golden raisins, 1/4 cup, but I don't have that. I do have dried plums, which are known as prunes, and very nutritious. So I'm going to put them in, but I find I don't like to add dried fruit to a porridge until it's thickened, because once I add the dried fruit, I can no longer use my whisk. I've got to switch to a spoon because the fruit will get caught in the whisk. So I'm waiting for that, but I've got my prunes all chopped, 1/4 cup. And I just want to say how pleased I am to have found a recipe to use a decent amount of fennel seeds. There are 2 full teaspoons of fennel seeds in this porridge. Fennel seeds are extremely nutritious. They aid in the regulation of blood sugar, blood pressure. They're full of minerals and vitamins like K and B and C and manganese. And so I'm very happy to be able to use them in this black rice porridge. And additionally, prunes are full of a lot of not only fiber, but minerals and nutrition. So this is going to be a very nutrition-packed porridge, which is great because my son has 4.5 hours of choir practice today, and he won't ever bring a snack to eat. So this is going to keep him going all afternoon as he's working really hard. So I've been doing some other things while it's cooking. It's not as thick as I would have thought. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I have it on pretty low, but I am not in a hurry. I'm still making my juice. So it can just sit there low. And I don't like to rush porridge at all. That's the secret to creamy, delicious porridge. No rushing. Okay, now let's check back on how it's doing. Oh, it's bubbling up. So I think it does need a stir from the bottom. So porridge I put on first, but it's the last thing to be eaten. It takes the longest. Our family does a lot of juice. In the morning, we start our day with lemon water. Then we generally go to celery juice. Sometimes I'll make fruit juice. It just depends. Sometimes I'll juice other vegetables, or make a smoothie. So very often the porridge is not eaten until mid to late morning. If we're having porridge, which today we are, that will probably be the mid to late morning meal. So I put it on first. It's low cooking. It's thickening up here very nicely. But I'm preparing other things while it's cooking. So it takes the longest, but it's consumed last. And so we want to get it on first. But then we're not in a hurry because we've got a lot of other things coming along. So there, now we can stir with the wooden spoon because it's thick enough. I don't need that whisk anymore. It's gotten some body to it that's going to stick together. And those prunes are going to absorb some moisture. So I may add a little bit of water. We'll see as it goes. But I may not, because I'm going to go off recipe and grate a ripe pear that I have into it. And when I grate that ripe pear, there's going to be a lot of fluid. I'm going to do it on a plate with a lip. And then all the pear juice will go into this. And that's right before it's ready to serve. Then I turn it off and let it cool, and it congeals. But we're not there yet. So we'll check back after I do some more juicing. So do you hear that? This pan is making real bubbling noises. And I'm sure that this rice is getting thick now. So I'm preparing, and the bottom is starting to get a small bit that I can feel when I stir that bottom hard. Now I've grated my pear. I've also already rinsed off and washed the grater and put it in the dish drainer because graters are a real hassle to clean. But if you clean them right away and rinse them with hot water in your hand, they're not. So that gets cleaned immediately. And here's our pear. Nice and soft. This is looking really good. Just gonna give it a little bit of added moisture and freshness. Gonna let it cook about 5 more minutes and thicken up. And then I'm gonna turn it off and let it sit for about 10 minutes and form a skin. And when that skin forms, we know it's ready to serve. I'm stirring all the bits off the bottom. When you add a little bit of moisture to porridge that's cooking, then you incorporate that moisture and you stir hard on the bottom comes clean. So, and also we're using our flame diffuser and low heat. So by the time I'm done stirring, this should not have any kind of sticking at the bottom. And that's the trick if you do it right. And you intermittently stir up the bottom and you have the right moisture. So I might even turn this now down lower to where that little flame is just there. And I can let it just sit like that while I make all my juice, and then I'll turn it off. So the more time, the better. So I may just leave it like that because I don't need it right now for about 10 minutes. And then turn it off for another 10 minutes. And it'll be ready to serve, and by that time we'll have had our celery juice. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy this celery juice. So it's time to serve the porridge. It's been sitting here, and you can see there's a kind of a film on the top. That wetness is just from the condensation that just dripped, but there's a little bit of a film on the top, and that means, see, and then it cracks when I open it. That means it's just perfect. Nothing is sticking. It's still warm and steaming. This is exactly how porridge should be served. It should have time to rest and come to the right consistency. My son says he's hungry. We've got our prunes in here, but I still might put some, I think just as an afterthought, I'll add some raisins. Raisins have wonderful nutrition as well, and flavor. So I'll add some raisins, some maple syrup, organic Vermont maple syrup from Trader Joe's. And I made fresh almond milk this morning from my soaked almonds. This is the way to eat porridge. Fit for a king, forbidden rice porridge, or for an emperor. Enjoy to your health.